I promise you this time I'm not going to sing. She's been wandering around, so many of you have met her, but it is my honor at this time to formally introduce our guest speaker for today, the president of George Brown College, Anne Sado. Anne can be described as a hometown girl that made very good. And in fact, when she made good, she made the town good too. She was educated at the University of Toronto, where she earned a Bachelor of Applied Science in Industrial Engineering and an MBA, which probably explains your penchant for data, because this is a woman who loves data. She has been an indomitable force ever since. Throughout her life, Anne has been industrious and a creative force benefiting the worlds of industry, education, and the not-for-profit sector. Her employment history includes more than 2 decades at Bell Canada in various capacities, capping her time there with an appointment as Senior Vice President of Business Processes and Operational Effectiveness in 2000. And while there, she championed customer service initiatives and supported company goals with significant earnings improvements. In 2004, we at George Brown were very fortunate to have her join us as president. Her focus in education has been on cultivating the development of a workforce with the right balance of skills, with the right balance of knowledge and of knowing the economy, of having innovative ideas, and in learning. She has provided tools for transition to new Canadians so they can enter productive careers that will help drive our economic growth. I can say that Anne lives these ideals. As someone who occasionally will teach the odd course at George Brown, I have been impressed with the collegial atmosphere of the institution, the free-flowing exchange of ideas and dreams that can enhance the learning experience of students. Within the educational framework, President Sado is a strong advocate of experiential learning, emphasizing the importance of deepening partnerships with industry across the Greater Toronto Area. Her impact on the vision, direction, and culture of the college has resulted in significant growth at George Brown, and last week we celebrated the opening of a new campus. It's in a wider framework that she has activated a critical public discussion on the value of college education in Ontario's economic development. This year, Anne has been recognized as one of YWCA's Women of Distinction in Education. But that's only the most recent honor of many, and if I was to list them all, she would have no time left to speak. However, a few include the Women's Executive Network recognition as one of Canada's most powerful women of 2010. She was also inducted into the University of Toronto's Engineering Hall of Distinction in 2010 and awarded the Ontario Professional Engineers Gold Medal in 2007. She has received the Queen's Golden Jubilee Medal for her work with the YWCA of Greater Toronto, the Professional Engineers of Ontario Citizenship Award for contributions to her community, and an Arbor Award from the University of Toronto, as well as a Doctor of Laws honoris causa from the University of Toronto in July 2011. Now, Anne has spare time somewhere because she's also constantly serving in her community. She is chair of the board of Orion and past chair of Trillium Health Centre. She currently sits on the boards of organizations such as the Toronto Board of Trade and the Legacy Private Trust and the Toronto Financial Service Alliance. She is past president of Colleges Ontario's Committee of Presidents and has served as a board member of the YWCA of Greater Toronto, of Junior Achievement, and of the Canadian Hearing Society Foundation. This combination of professional and volunteer experiences has given her a variety of perspectives on the social, economic, and innovative challenges facing the GTA, and she is a fount of information. Ladies and gentlemen, I very happily introduce to you the president of George Brown College, Anne Sado.
That was a long introduction, but thank you. Head table guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and my personal thanks to the Empire Club of Canada for providing me with this opportunity to speak about innovation. It's a topic near and dear to my heart, as well as those of my colleagues at George Brown College, and in fact, at colleges across Ontario. Most of us know that in terms of innovation, Canada has fallen behind most other developed nations. The Conference Board of Canada, in fact, ranks us as 14th out of 17 countries with an average grade of D across such key indicators as patents by population, export market share in a number of areas, and in both the number and intensity of high technology and manufacturing. Just a year ago, Ontario's Task Force on Competitiveness, Productivity, and Economic Progress published a report that quantifiably demonstrated that in per capita GDP, measured in comparison to 16 other large states and provinces in North America, Ontario ranked 15th. The task force showed us that in 2010, our per capita GDP was $46,500 per person. Now, compare that to the state of New York. Our neighbours just across Lake Ontario are ranked number 1 at $71,200 per capita. Perhaps it's the city that never sleeps attitude that permeates the state, but this we can say with certainty. New Yorkers, one Great Lake away, are 60% more productive than their Ontario counterparts. We need to ask ourselves some hard questions about why this is so and what it means to our economy. I don't think any of us in this room are not concerned. We all have skin in the game. And when you combine our lower level of productivity with what is fast becoming Canada's less than stellar reputation for innovation, all of us are experiencing a direct hit as a result of this underperformance. A lack of innovation combined with lower productivity is a significant problem for everyone, especially in Ontario. No amount of hand-wringing will solve it. No amount of cheerleading should make us believe that we are doing better than we really are. And no amount of naysaying should stop us from tackling this problem head-on. Money doesn't seem to be too great a barrier. We're just too risk-averse to invest it. That's what Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney seems to think. In a historic speech to the Canadian Auto Workers Union this summer, he said that company directors are sitting on their money when they should be either putting it to work or returning it to shareholders. Carney was speaking of the more than $550 billion in what he referred to as dead money, up from almost $200 billion back in 2009, when Canada was just emerging from the recession. Our federal finance minister, Jim Flaherty, is also urging Canadian businesses to invest, and he is specific about where: in research and development, on innovation to improve productivity, and on expansion into new markets. On the other side of the issue, the naysayers are starting to pile on. Globe and Mail columnist Jeffrey Simpson wonders if any of this government push for innovation will pay off. He bemoans companies like Microsoft, which, of course, sells its products everywhere in Canada, hires lots of talent from Canadian colleges and universities, but spends little comparatively on research and development here. So topical is our nation's lack of investment that it was featured as a full-page story in a recent issue of The Economist. In that story, a Canadian economist compared urging companies to invest more and faster to people who honk at the car in front of them in a traffic jam. He called it ineffective and, at best, annoying. What both The Economist and Jeffrey Simpson are demonstrating, however, was that the time for cheerleading is over. We don't need to tell people what to do, but show them how to do it. We need to lead by example, not words. And we have to stop treating innovation like it's some magic formula that someone, sometime, might happen to stumble upon. As the leader of George Brown College, my job is to be concerned about innovation and productivity and the health of our economy at many levels. My own children, one has recently and one will soon enter the workforce. I care deeply about the 23,000 students who study at George Brown and the prospects for their future. I want them to have options and opportunities in a vibrant economy. Because George Brown College has a bias for action, I'm here today to show you how we can work together to address our innovation and productivity challenges. Today, I'd like to share the results of a comprehensive research study we recently commissioned. It's called Toronto Next: Return on Innovation. For this report, we surveyed a wide cross-section of GTA employers, including small, medium, and large enterprises across multiple sectors. Its purpose is to help us at George Brown and the business sector at large better understand what's driving innovation in our own backyard, not just in Canada, not just in Ontario, but right here in the place where we live and work in the GTA. Through this study, we have learned how to apply some important lessons to what we know about innovation and how to apply this to what we do best, preparing graduates to enter the workforce ready and willing to help companies increase productivity. Over the next several minutes, I'll share with you what we learned about how industry defines innovation, what it means to their businesses, and how colleges in general, and George Brown specifically, can be an enabler of the innovation economy. For our study, we reached out to over 300 businesses in the GTA. Our goal was to better understand how they define innovation and its role in their organizations. We also asked them about the value they place on innovation and what kind of return on investment they look for. And, as I'll discuss a little later, we asked them to tell us what barriers are preventing them from making these investments. The primary reason we want to know all this is to help keep our curriculum, both what we teach and how we teach it, up to date. We want to ensure that our graduates can graduate with a stronger capability for innovation and offer their employers the essential skills that meet their needs. As a key partner for businesses in the GTA, it is our job, and that of every college in Ontario, to ensure that our graduates can hit the ground running when they graduate. In short, the more we know about how employers think, the better job we can do in preparing our students to be their future employees. What we found was not so much what's driving innovation, but what's not. We discovered that most often, the greatest barrier to innovation is the unwillingness of our businesses to invest in it. Our research also tells us that GTA businesses are more interested in productivity than innovation or creativity. And what came as a real surprise to me, business people do not link innovation to greater productivity. We asked GTA employers to define innovation. In fact, I'd like you to ask yourself that question right now. What is innovation? 3-second pause. Keep that answer in your head. At George Brown, we define innovation as the process of creating social or economic value from something that already exists. It's not just about invention. Think of the concept of iteration, a process of continuous improvement. Employers, however, define it differently. The key word they told us was the word new. Without prompting, GTA employers told us that innovation can primarily be defined in 4 different ways. 1, creating new services, new products, or new processes. 2, keeping up, staying ahead on new technology or new ideas. 3, new ways of doing things. And 4, out of the box and creative thinking. All of these are valid ways in which businesses can maintain a competitive edge in today's global economy. But what was surprising to us is the difficulty many of those we surveyed had in linking these definitions of innovation to productivity. We also talked to these same employers about productivity, the highest possible output with the least possible input. And here, we also found some particularly enlightening results. For GTA employers, productivity is much more important than innovation. And second, perhaps most importantly, these businesses are not seeing the value of investments in new technologies and equipment, skills training, and R&D partnership in sparking their innovation. So, by extension, these businesses are also not seeing the value of these key strategic investments in enhancing their productivity. So, our research tells us that GTA business people do not see investments in innovation as a pathway to what they value most, and that is productivity. Our report is one way that we at George Brown are helping employers and our students, their future employees, to make this connection. The evidence shows that this may be a challenge. On the one hand, we have reputable, influential voices, such as Governor Carney and Minister Flaherty, aggressively urging businesses to invest in new technologies, skills training, development of new products, and fostering R&D partnerships as a key ingredient for improved productivity. On the other hand, the research we're releasing today is telling us that 50% of GTA business leaders perceive a modest or no tangible return on these very investments. And here's the really telling fact. Half of the people that we spoke to believe that it is not businesses themselves that bear the primary responsibility for investing in innovation, but government. Just 21% felt such responsibility falls on their own shoulders. And the larger the company, the more likely it is that that company believes that it's government that should be making these investments. We also learned that 16% felt that post-secondary education should lead the way. Clearly, the overwhelming opinion of the business community is that other people are primarily responsible for investing in innovation. Is it our aversion to risk that is compelling many to believe that government is Canada's best venture capitalist? I can't say, but I do know that one cannot improve on anything unless one takes responsibility for it. Declaring something to be someone else's problem has never solved anything. We need to collectively accept this responsibility and work together to link investment in new technology, R&D, and skills to our long-term productivity and competitiveness. We need to encourage businesses to put innovation at the core of their business strategy. One of the ironies we found when we asked business leaders to name a current and successful innovator in the GTA, more than half could not name one. And of those people that did, the company named most often was Apple. Last time I checked, Apple was not a GTA company, although I'm sure our friends at the Board of Trade would welcome them with open arms. We at George Brown College do know many of the successful innovators in the GTA. We work with dozens of them and have collaborated with many of them on their innovation initiatives. Some of our partners are with us today. I'm pleased to have the president and founder of Tenet Computer Group, Carlos Paz-Soldan, with me at the head table this afternoon. Tenet has been in business since 1984, providing information technology solutions for governments, hospitals, and corporations. The company has developed an emergency preparedness solution for mobile devices. This is an application called Pinpoint that allows a healthcare provider to rapidly disseminate information related to fast-breaking public crises using the BlackBerry PIN. We helped the company with initial assessment runs at our School of Emergency Management. Leveraging government grants to enable colleges to support private sector innovation, we worked with Tenet to test and refine Pinpoint, notably through emergency simulations at Bridgepoint Health. Working together, we helped link Tenet to our faculty and students, our emergency management simulation facilities, funding, and our partner network. The result is a true Canadian success story, using a Canadian invention, the BlackBerry, to address real and important scenarios that require emergency responses in a healthcare setting. It is this ability to leverage our faculty, researchers, students, and facilities to test ideas and then refine these ideas that lets us help companies create real economic and social value. Let me return to the study results for just another moment. It tells us that only about a third of GTA employers are aware of the opportunities for R&D partnerships with any post-secondary institution. About half of those are aware of the partnerships available with George Brown specifically. Since we did the study, of course, we asked the question. One of the reasons I'm speaking to you today is to let potential partners know that we are available as a resource. I don't believe employers have an aversion to working with a college or university. One of the primary reasons for not investing in innovation is an aversion to risk. Remember, businesses tend to think that innovation leadership is someone else's responsibility. But there was something else in the results of the study that surprised me. Small businesses tend to be more risk-averse than their mid to large counterparts. We discovered this by presenting businesses with a premise to consider. We asked that if an investment in innovation would increase the long-term profitability of their businesses, but reduce profits in the short term, would they be likely to invest? For mid to large businesses, only 36% told us they would invest. In my books, 36% is not an inspiring number. And for small businesses in the region, that answer dropped even lower by a third to just 24%. So back to our bias for action. Clearly, we need to de-risk innovation. Let me show you how we at George Brown College plan to be part of the solution and how we need to work together with our colleagues in business, the public sector, and government to crack that nut. In terms of innovation and productivity, the role of George Brown College and our fellow Ontario colleges is twofold. First, our most natural responsibility is our commitment to develop the talent pool of available employees for employers, ensuring that they not only understand innovation and productivity and the relationship between them, but also that they have the skills to put this understanding to work right away. Our second responsibility is to help GTA businesses become more innovative and productive through collaborative initiatives, providing access to other innovators, instructors, talented students, and physical resources. I'd like to share another example of a small Toronto-based health technology company called Infonaut. Infonaut is working with the University Health Network to test its new real-time disease surveillance system technology. They call it Hospital Watch Live. If you look back to the time of the SARS outbreak, you know how quickly a disease can travel through not only one healthcare setting, but through multiple sites. Infonaut's technology was developed to address the issue, to not only help reduce hospital-acquired infections, but also to save lives and reduce the strain hospital-acquired infections put on our already taxed healthcare system. What was our role? Well, before the Ministry of Health would allow this technology to be tested in a hospital, they wanted it tested somewhere, as they would any new medical device. George Brown College has a simulated practice center, and where we teach and train future healthcare workers. We also have advanced prototyping facilities, where we help to Infonaut refine and build hardware and software for their Hospital Watch Live system. Working with Infonaut, we were able to help successfully develop and test their technology to the point where this technology is now undergoing real-world hospital setting in a transplant unit. The project worked so well that Infonaut has hired some of our graduates who worked on their project. I'm pleased to acknowledge Timur Sharaftanov, who is here in the audience today. Where are you, Timur? There you are. I can't see you because of the light. This exercise in innovation required the coordination and collaboration of many different departments of our college. We not only provided access to highly qualified staff, students, and prototyping and simulation environments, we also helped secure more than $180,000 in funding from federal and provincial government sources. This was matched by Infonaut to help them get their product to market. The scope and degree of our collaborations with GTA universities, hospitals, boards of trade, and professional associations is perhaps the least told story about George Brown. Our local universities have turned to us on a number of occasions to help them take their thinking to the commercialization stage, because they know we can do it and we can provide value. It is this complementarity in working together that lets us help industry get products to market and also helps scientists in our world-leading research labs do the same thing. To conclude, my colleagues and I at George Brown believe that this is a serious and significant problem for the short and long-term competitiveness of the GTA economy. Solutions are going to require concerted collaboration between industry and post-secondary institutions. As a college, I believe we have specific responsibilities to advance our innovation potential. We can begin with partnerships with GTA employers that link them to funding, human capital, state-of-the-art research facilities, and access to markets. But above all else, we have a fundamental commitment to commercialization. We do this as part of our core curriculum, and in addition, our Office of Applied Research and Innovation has helped countless entrepreneurial ventures go from concept to commercialization in the last 4 years. We need to build greater awareness amongst employers of these collaborative opportunities. So please, come to us with your challenges and ideas, big and small. George Brown College has a bias toward action, and we are open for business innovation. Not only can we connect you with people, processes, and innovators, we can often connect business leaders with additional financial resources to help fund these initiatives. This includes working with companies and public sector organizations to facilitate speed to market, to foster innovation and entrepreneurship with our partners, and just as importantly, in our graduates. The report we are publishing today validates our mandate to ensure we demonstrate the connection between innovation and productivity with our students, developing the talent needed for a more innovative economy, and continue to encourage greater risk acceptance as they enter the workforce and perhaps consider their own entrepreneurial ventures. It is my opinion that the GTA does not have an innovation problem, it has an innovation opportunity. Now is not the time to squirrel away money for a rainy day. It is time to invest in better umbrellas. We at George Brown are committed to working with current and next generations of innovators to take advantage of this opportunity, and we invite you to become one of them. Thank you.
I will have Ted Griffith come up to help with the question and answer period.
Thanks, Anne. I've had a couple questions come up from the floor. Number one is the role of colleges. What's the role that colleges as a whole could take in Ontario in fostering this culture of innovation?
Well, in fact, we already work together as a very effective network. It was originally started as the Colleges Ontario Network for Industry Innovation, where we leverage each other's strengths to, in fact, solve real-world problems. So if a business comes to us with a problem and we don't have the capability at an individual institution, we can fan out and either ask another colleague college to take that opportunity, or we work together, as we have in many instances, to in fact solve those problems. And I think what we want people to realize is that colleges as a whole are focused on applied education, and that is giving students real-world experience. And by offering these opportunities for applied research, we are actually solving real-world problems. And when I talk about our track record, about concept to commercialization, it's real, and all of us have great examples to share. We just have to get the story out. If only a third of GTA employers even know that partnership opportunities are available with either colleges or universities, and because colleges are still so much newer in this game, I think it just behooves us to tell the story. This research sort of gives us a foundation on which to build that story and hopefully let more people know the type of work that we can do given our focus on applied education.
And does anybody else have any other questions? I can't. Let's see you now. Yes.
Hi. My name's Adam Piercy. I'm actually a June graduate of George Brown College. It's very nice to see you again, Ms. Sado, after shaking your hand, crossing the stage at the Hummingbird Center, or it's not called that anymore. And I would also like to say thank you for mentioning Infonaut. Actually, if you've been to the hospital, you've seen my units themselves installed, so it's great. That's a great success story for us. Now, my question has to deal with what happens after the initial innovation period. There's been a significant gap in terms of what happens after you initially innovate. we do have a great success story there where some of the graduates have been hired on, but there have been many other innovation projects where students are not being hired on, and there's a significant pool of trained personnel for that specific job that are not making it into the workforce. How do you propose or see a plan or an action plan for being able to increase the number of hired students coming out of these projects?
Well, I think thanks for the question, and congratulations on your recent graduation. I think that's why it's so important that we talk about innovation and the ways to improve our economy. If we have such a low grade right now and such a low track record, we're not going to have the economic success that we need to ensure that there are jobs within the sectors that we're training our students and future graduates for. Of course, you can't guarantee that every new venture will be a success story, but I think with the right work ahead of time to try and get that product to commercialization, we do have great networks of people, and I think we do have an ability to leverage. And if the opportunity doesn't come with the company that a student might have done a placement with during their studies, hopefully that experience, that real-world experience. And employers told us in an earlier tranche of Toronto Next research that we had done that employers are looking for students with soft skills. If they are studying engineering or one of the health sciences or culinary arts, they expect that that graduate will come out of school with the technical skills that they need. But what they're really looking for is the soft skills, and those can range from communication skills, teamwork skills, customer service skills. In this round of research, we also asked employers what's important to them around innovation and creativity and productivity. And they told us that they want graduates who can hit the ground running, who have a really strong work ethic and can react quickly to change. So to the extent that we embed those capabilities within students as they're undertaking their studies, they're going to have a much higher possibility and a much higher chance of gaining employment. And we want to do our part to help create strength in the economy so that there are more opportunities for our graduates.
Yes.
Hi, Anne. I just was wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about what the Ontario colleges and universities are doing to foster innovation with social change initiatives.
Sorry, say that one more time.
What are the Ontario colleges and universities doing to foster innovation with social change initiatives?
Well, I'll just give you a couple examples. I probably won't be able to run the whole gamut of what everyone is doing. But social entrepreneurship is one of the key initiatives that we focus on. So, for example, many colleges and universities have teams in either Advancing Canadian Entrepreneurship ACE or SIFE, which is the international equivalent. And those students actually have to work together on projects that not only have a business basis, but actually have a social good. So when we first created our ACE SIFE team at George Brown, we actually worked with the United Way of Greater Toronto to create a training forum and a series of classes, programs to help entrepreneurs who are in not-for-profit organizations actually start up businesses, so that we taught them how to actually do a business plan, how to do the market research, how to do the financial management that they have to when they're starting up an enterprise. And then after we did that and we realized that it's not just enough to get a business to start up, we also have to get a business to stay up. So we created another whole program to help them. So that's social enterprise from my point of view, because it's not-for-profit agencies who are creating ways to help themselves make better opportunities for their communities. We've partnered with Regent Park in the Paintbrush Cafe, which is part of the new Artscape or Daniels Corporation Arts Centre, where, again, one of our faculty created that opportunity. They are bringing people directly from Regent Park who have been on welfare to work in that cafe. We have trained all of those people as part of our culinary school. So again, that's another linkage between education, the business sector, and a social enterprise to create opportunities for jobs and for communities.
There any more questions from the? I don't think I see any more hands up or anything. Okay. Well, Anne, thank you very much. On behalf of the Empire Club of Canada, I want to thank you for speaking here today. The innovation is a topic that we as a club, as a would like to talk about more. Your speech today has certainly reflected, your talk has talked about how this conversation needs to move forward. I'm going to present you with a book called Who Said That, which is from our 100th anniversary in 2003. The club was started in 1903, and it's selected quotes from speeches. But I found one which was kind of relevant to today, which shows that this has been talked about for a while.
It's going to be from 1903, right, Tim?
No, it's not from 1903, but it is from 1979 from the director of the Ontario Science Centre, Dr. John Tuzo-Wilson. Now, he makes the mistake, which you talked about, invention and innovation as being the same. Okay, but his point about business seems to be very apropos. He says it was the development of the steam engine rather than any change in financing which made growth possible. The steam engine provided the first source of cheap and abundant synthetic power which to produce goods in abundance and transport them quickly. Cheap energy has been the source of our prosperity, and it is now vanishing. It is not capitalists that are in short supply, it is resources. Adam Smith was the author, but more than anyone else, James Watt was the creator of wealth of nations. Many leaders have come to believe that laws, edicts, taxes, financial manipulations are more important than production. That's what productivity is there. This ability of economists to put the cart before the horse and then forget the horse is one of the tragedies of our times. Once an invention or discovery has been made, managers, bankers, and lawyers move in to exploit it and build an industry. Generally, they are not the original inventors, but they make more money, seem to exercise more power, and appear to be more glamorous and more important than the true creators of wealth, which are the innovators. Thank you, Anne.
Thanks very much, Ted.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll find at your seats, you'll see a list of upcoming events. Please take a look as we have some wonderful events coming up. I would like to thank Mr. Discount and Phil Gillies Consulting for sponsoring our students' tables this afternoon. I would also like to thank National Post as our media sponsor. This meeting will be carried live and aired on Rogers TV, and we're very grateful for their support. Thank you all for coming. This meeting is adjourned.